Yep. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Columbia University and the Graduate School of Architecture, Planning, and Preservation. And welcome to BIT City 2011, Transportation, Data, and Technology in Cities. We're looking forward to having a really engaging day talking about many of the issues surrounding data collection, data usage, data ownership, and how it will affect transportation planning now and moving forward. We'd like to, well, Sarah will talk about the conference a little more broadly now. This is Sarah Williams. She is the director of the Spatial Information Design Lab. Co-director with Laura Kurgan of the Spatial Information Design Lab. Here's, I'll let you go.
Oh, okay. We put the conference together really to, I think, we've been thinking about smarter cities. I've been to a lot of conferences that talk about data technology in the city, and we really wanted to focus the conversation because I think kind of different areas of data technology have different issues at bear. So we really wanted to focus this conference this time, and we hope to have other conferences that focus on other issues in the future, but on transportation. And so we kind of set out the conference today thinking about kind of different key issues within transportation in the city. So we're going to start up with startup planning, entrepreneur planning. We're going to talk about a little bit about new data sources. We're going to talk about some of the legal issues involved with planning and data and technology in the city. We just want to thank everybody for coming today and also for our great speakers that we're looking forward to hearing. Also, we want to thank Georgia Bullen, who has been very helpful with putting the conference together.
Now, the conference is titled BIT City 2011, but it's also the SIG Grava Symposium on Infrastructure. Now, SIG Grava was part of the Graduate School of Architecture, Planning, and Preservation for half a century. And he passed a couple years ago. And in part, this is a conference in his honor, and we're hoping to keep his name alive in the school. Now, as part of that, I'd like to welcome Elliot Sklar, who's going to stand up and say a couple words about SIG, and then introduce our initial speaker.
Thank you, David, and thanks to you, thanks to the both of you actually for putting this amazing conference together and these ideas. And I have three jobs which I'm going to do very quickly to stay on time. The first is to provide a formal welcome to all of you on behalf of the Graduate School of Architecture, Planning, and Preservation. Dean Wigley wasn't able to be here today, but I know these are the kind of events that he's really thrilled to have us doing, and I would like to extend his greetings to all of you for this event. The next two pieces of what I'm going to do are to talk a little bit about SIG Grava, and then what I'm going to do is introduce our speaker. Summing up SIG's half a century plus connection to urban planning in Columbia, it's really an impossible challenge. As with any long relationship, it's a nuanced and complex story. SIG Grava died suddenly on September 14th, 2009, 11 days short of his 75th birthday. It was one of those amazingly beautiful and sublime early September days when New York City is at its bright and sunny best, with the dark green foliage of late summer on the verge of taking on autumn hues. Those days have the kind of perfect warm temperature that almost insists that you spend much of the day as possible out of doors. SIG stopped by the planning office to get some papers. He was busy preparing to deliver the first of the 2009-2010 lectures in planning. He headed home for some lunch, and we never saw him again. His big heart just gave out. So today's conference is dedicated to his memory. I just want to take a few minutes to give those of you who were not lucky enough to know him, a sense of who this wonderful man was, and how much he shaped urban planning at Columbia University, and why it is that we miss him so much. I'm sure that if there are traffic jams in heaven, and there is an ample supply of Jack Daniels, traffic is flowing smoothly on the other side of the pearly gates. SIG always maintained a combination of high standards of professional planning combined with the joie de vivre that is not easily, if ever, replaced. The constant throughout all the years, many ups and downs, is the depth of SIG's character, the power of his personality, the sharpness of his intellect, his wry sense of humor, to say nothing of the breadth of his size. SIG Grava was in every way a larger-than-life character. SIG was a kind-hearted personality that came dressed up in the guise of a stern curmudgeon. Students, all of who came to love him, would all tell a similar story. The first encounter with him would make them quake in fear. He had a way of staring at them and questioning them that would lead them to believe that they would never measure up. I know of more than one student who waited until the second year of the program before they had the courage to enter his class. They would all then tell me something I already knew, that he was a great big teddy bear. They quickly learned that SIG would invest as much of his own time and effort in each of them as they needed, provided that they put in the time and the effort themselves. Lois Dean Courtney, an early student, wrote the following on the blog I set up after SIG passed. She wrote, "When I came to class from Camden Fleisig and Associates, I was really pleased to meet SIG Grava. He was just 1 year older than I. I called him SIG on the first day, and he gave me that look and said, 'Dr. Grava to you.' Miffed, I always called him Dr. Grava from then on. Once, when I froze up giving a presentation, he roared at me, 'Don't you know that North is supposed to be at the top?' And as I turned to respond with sarcasm, all the fear left, and I was able to begin my presentation to the critics. He never let on, but he knew how to take care of us. 20 years later, on a project together, he asked me to call him SIG. Thanks, Dr. Grava. That lesson and all the others he taught me stuck and stood me in good stead in the 40 years as a professional urban planner, dealing with transportation, development, and social justice. He was a major factor in my professional success, and it was a privilege to know him." My first encounter with him was actually similar to the students. I came to Columbia as an associate professor with over a decade of teaching experience in Boston. I was assigned his office my first year, as he was on leave, and office space is always a premium in Avery Hall, as any of the denizens of this place will tell you. At the start of my second year, as I was clearing out of his office, SIG appeared and quickly made me feel like an interloper, even as I vacated his office for my new digs next door. I quickly handed him a copy of my first book, Access for All. He gave me a curt thank you as he took it. The book was well received by professional reviewers in all the journals, so when SIG came back to tell me he read it, I fully expected a praise-filled comment, but all he said was, "Not bad." I soon learned that I had just received the highest compliment I could ever hope from him. SIG immigrated to the United States as a teenager from his native Latvia in 1950 at the age of 16. He received his bachelor's degree in civil engineering from the City College of New York in 1955. That September, he entered Avery Hall for the first time and remained connected here until the day he died. He received his master's degree in housing and planning in 1957 and his PhD in transportation planning in 1965. He became a member of the planning faculty 51 years ago, in 1960. SIG had three strong identities: as a loyal American who loved this country greatly for what it gave him, as a fiercely loyal son of Latvia who worked tirelessly for the day that it became free of domination by the former Soviet Empire, and the identity that connected with so many of us, what he termed himself to be, a proud New Yorker. Each year at student orientation, when the faculty would get up and introduce ourselves to the incoming master's and PhD students, SIG always made a point of explaining that all true New Yorkers came here from someplace else. It was a line that always elicited a smile, and a great deal of angst in me, because I, who was born on 155th Street in Riverside Drive, can only think, what did that make me, a Bostonian? SIG was an internationally recognized expert in transport and infrastructure planning. His work took him to all corners of the world. As Vice President and Technical Director of Planning at Parsons Brinckerhoff, Sig was the team leader on many of the major planning projects that shaped New York over the last 3 decades. Kevin Costa, another former student, wrote, "In the late 1980s, shortly after I finished my coursework in the urban planning program, I worked at the now-defunct New York City Agency, Ports and Trade. The city had recently started its private ferry program. Sig came down to have lunch with us and share ideas about ferries and the waterfront. There was nothing in it for him or PB. He just wanted to help out. My colleagues at Ports were amazed that someone as accomplished would give their time for free. I was less amazed because I knew it was just Sig being Sig, but I certainly was proud to show off to my coworkers that I had someone as so dedicated as my professor." His work has brought him international honors. He was elected a fellow of the American Institute of Certified Planners, an elected member of the Latvian Academy of Sciences, and was awarded the Order of the 3 Stars from the Republic of Latvia. His 2003 book, Urban Transportation Systems, Choices for Communities, published by McGraw-Hill, is a mainstay reference on the world's urban transportation systems. His writings have appeared in all the scholarly journals in his field. In his almost half-century affiliation with this school, Professor Grava has taught several generations of Columbia planning students. His graduates are among the most influential planners of the current generation. Sig was fond of saying that all he really did was teach the rudiments of planning, noting that the most important lesson he taught in site planning was that water could never run uphill. In truth, he taught quite a sophisticated class, demanding methodological rigor from all his students. His sardonic wit and planning wisdom are sorely missed by all of us. Where's the, to my left? Good. Yeah, okay. That's all I wanted. Anyway, what I want to do now is actually introduce an incredibly special person. Her modesty is only equaled by her incredible competence. Janet Sadiq Khan, who has served as the Commissioner of New York City's Department of Transportation since 2007, has really permanently changed the terms of reference of that job. Prior to her tenure, the term Transportation Commissioner was pretty much interchangeable with the term Traffic Commissioner. The principal mission of City DOT was the management of the flow of urban traffic. Under her leadership, City DOT has been transformed into an agency in which the flow of traffic is the tail and not the dog. Traffic is the result of the intersection of the means of travel and the land uses that are the reason for travel. Urban transport in New York is truly about urban access. DOT now defines its mission in far more sophisticated terms. The quality of travel in New York City is a matter of urban design, a matter of land use and access, far more than the speed of motorized travel through the city streets. Commissioner Sadiq Khan administers the department with a $2 billion plus budget. She manages 4,700 skilled employees with wide-ranging expertise from engineering to construction finance to marine navigation, and is responsible for the operation and maintenance of 6,300 miles of streets and highways, nearly 800 bridges, 1.3 million street signs. I meant to talk to you about a sign actually on the 300,000 street lights and 12,000 signalized intersections, as well as the Staten Island Ferry. The nation's busiest commuter ferry service, carrying more than 21 million passengers annually. Beginning with Sustainable Streets, DOT's first strategic plan, published in 2008, she has implemented a series of innovative projects: the creation of Broadway Boulevard, new select bus service routes in the Bronx and Manhattan, the installation of 18 plazas, the addition of over 250 miles of on-street bike lanes, city-free summer streets, car-free summer streets, weekend pedestrian walks, and a new street design manual requiring a higher quality street designs for New York City. I actually use a lot of slides of the work that she's done when I travel to Africa, where we're doing a lot of work now, and the World Bank and a lot of the international donors seem intent on building a lot of highways, and say, why are you doing this when the 21st century is here? Look at what New York is doing. It's an incredible contrast, and there's no reason for them to have to do the same thing. But that's the fight right now. Before joining DOT, she was a senior vice president and a colleague of Sig's at Parsons Brinkerhoff. She handled the U.S. transit market and was the founding president of Company 39, a communications consulting company. She previously worked in Washington as a deputy administrator at the FTA, at the Federal Transit Administration, where she managed the capital construction budget and federal assistance programs and policies. Prior to her tenure in Washington, she served as the director of the Mayor's Office of Transportation and the special counsel legal director at DOT. Sada Khan is president of the National Association of City Transportation Officials, chair of the Transportation Research Board's Committee on Transportation Issues in Major U.S. Cities, and was appointed to the Energy Secretary's Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy Advisory Committee. She's published widely on transport policy, planning and finance, and project management. She holds a BA in political science from Occidental College and a law degree from right across the street at Columbia University School of Law. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Commissioner.
That was very nice. Thank you.